We've been reporting that we are seeing vaccination numbers starting to pick up, particularly in New South Wales. On the current pace of the vaccination rollout, at the rate we're going, when will we actually reach the point where everyone who wants to be vaccinated will be? What is the real picture here?
Yeah, well, there's been some new analysis that's been done by the think tank, the Blueprint Institute, into this, and they have calculated that if we keep going at the current rate that we're going at, it will take us until November 2022 to have 5 out of 6 people vaccinated, which is the target that Gladys Berejiklian has set for international borders opening. Look, I mean, I don't think that we will retain the current pace. We are going to speed up, especially in the fourth quarter of this year when we get all of those extra Pfizer doses and the Moderna doses start to come in as well. But they've sort of, given their best estimate that we will be pushing well into next year. If we're going to get everything done by the end of this year, they've calculated we need to ramp up to the level that the UK and the US are currently going at by August in order to vaccinate the bulk of our population by the end of the year. Best estimates from the Blueprint Institute at this stage is that we will be pushing into next year, optimistically February, quite likely March. One would hope it doesn't push too far out beyond then.
Natasha, I know you've spent a bit of time trying to delve into some of these statistics on the rollout. Do we actually know at this point how many people have been fully vaccinated? Every time we hear from the politicians, they always seem to be referring to people getting the first jab, and you can understand why, from a politically a political narrative, that is important. But is there actually enough transparency here about how this is progressing?
Well, I don't think so, because at a federal level, we're not reporting the number of people who are fully vaccinated. This is a key measure. It's the key measure by which virtually every country in the world is measured, and virtually every country in the world is reporting it. We're not reporting it for reasons that are unclear. There was an agreement in National Cabinet as to what is reported, and the full vaccination number wasn't part of that agreement. I don't think that there's any grand kind of disagreement here. There's a few states, New South Wales is one of them, WA is another one, and Victoria, they're reporting the number of people who are fully vaccinated. So I don't really see that the states would have a problem with this. It's just that it needs to be ticked off by National Cabinet. That really needs to happen, I think, as a matter of urgency. We do know in aged care how many people are fully vaccinated. It's about 120,000 in aged care, which is, getting not close, but at least we're getting somewhere close to the figure that we need, which is about 180,000 people in aged care, living in aged care that need to be vaccinated. I mean, they're in phase 1A, so we really should have had it actually done by now. In terms of other states, how they're going, Victoria's got about 60,000 people fully vaccinated. That's out of about 251,000 that have received at least one shot. But New South Wales and Victoria have both fully vaccinated around about a third of the people who have received jabs. So they are progressing pretty well, and it's all ramping up now that the mass vaccination clinics are really sort of pumping through people, although we are told that Victoria's mass vaccination hubs are rather empty, so that's a bit of a concern.
Well, and that leads me to my next question, which is about vaccine hesitancy. As we've been reporting today, it's on the rise. Almost 1/3 of Australians in a new survey saying they're unlikely to get the COVID jab. I see that you wrote a report earlier this week pointing out that a lot of older Australians in particular are sort of hedging their bets on this. Some are deciding to delay getting their jabs in the hope that they can access what they deem to be a better vaccine later in the year. What's driving this? I mean, this has to be a real worry for our health authorities.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's a few factors. The blood clot issue is absolutely the number one factor. People are really concerned about that. They understand that these clots are not only occurring in people aged under 50. There has been a handful of cases, although I think a lot of people also understand that it is incredibly rare and you're in much greater danger from COVID as you are from a blood clot from a vaccine. But nevertheless, I guess some people, they don't want to be that one statistic. So they're talking to their GPs about this. A lot of people are being talked around. They feel more reassured after talking to their GP. But I think there's a couple of other factors coming into play as well. I think the fact that we've got no COVID in Australia is one of the factors that is causing people to wait. So it's not necessarily that people are hesitant to actually get a vaccine. They just don't see the benefit of it to them in terms of the risk-benefit analysis that they're doing, given that they feel like there's virtually no chance they're going to catch COVID. But of course, what people have to realise is that this could flare up at any time. And, you know, a few cases can quickly become more, and, you know, as we saw in Melbourne, things can escalate very, very quickly. So I think that message really needs to be, I think the government doing their best to put that message out, but, you know, people really need to understand that we are in the midst of a pandemic. The fact that we've got no cases in Australia at the moment is not guaranteed to continue, and that's what makes vaccination so important.
Yeah, we don't want to become a victim of our own success. Natasha Robinson, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ash.